Hello everybody, welcome back to Kw6 Vault, and today we want to see the other areas which are not opened because of the closing of the server. And here I have the owner.
Hi,
Hi,
how you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm alright.
So then
Yeah,
let's
so
start.
this park was started in 2018, around the end of actually in the summer of 2018, but over the past year, this park has been redone from the ground up pretty much. All the areas have been replaced. A lot of new rides, just a lot of new stuff that replaced old stuff, as well as some
Yes.
old stuff staying. Um,
Well, I saw
at this
something new
time, there
things.
were, yeah.
As I recorded the video, I saw also some new things I didn't saw yet.
Have you seen the last expansion or?
Yes, I saw it.
Okay.
I mean that old rides I didn't ride a long time
Oh,
and they changed a bit.
which ones are you talking about?
For example, the entrance of the Tomahawk or something like that. Just small changes.
Oh, yeah, that was a very small change. You are not missing much there. Um, do you want to see the new Creaky Mills? Have you already seen the new Creaky Mills
Yes,
Curse? Or...
I did.
Okay, all right. So, what is it that you would like to see before we go into the under construction areas?
Maybe the last attraction from this new area, the Kuka
Oh, the
Arm
Kuka
ride.
Arm. Yeah, sure thing. Um, I guess we'll go ahead and walk to it. So, Kuka Arm was a very, very interesting project because I'm going to obviously talk about it a lot here. So, funny story, the Kuka Arm, so a lot of the attractions in Gakijiwan Valley were redone multiple times over because we wanted to make them as good as they could possibly be. Like canoes, the canoe ride right here. Originally, this ride only had the outdoor section and then an indoor cavern section, but this ride was redone to have an indoor magical forest section that definitely made the ride a lot better and extended it by a fair amount. I think by like a minute and a half in duration. And then the Haunted Mansion Dark Ride, Creaky Mills Curse, that ride was actually redone. It used to be a small dark ride called Fool's Gold, but nobody on the staff team was happy with it, so it was redone into Creaky Mills Curse. The Carriage Ride was actually redone about a week before opening day. It was very hectic. We added in a lot of new scenes, a lot of new animatronics, and the swinging stuff. And then this Kuka Arm ride, this ride was actually redone 3 times completely over. Like, we built the queue once, we weren't happy with it, gutted it and started again, built a second queue, built the queue the second time around, and then a few scenes on the ride weren't happy with that, so we gutted it again, and then that kind of takes us to where it is now. Oh, I'll give you Fly, sorry about that.
Okay, thanks.
So this ride, the story of this ride is pretty complex. So in this wigwam here, this is going to be the first pre-show where the chief of the Native American village would talk to you and explain that you are going to be his escorts to the annual chieftains meeting. Obviously where he would meet up with the other chiefs of this tribe and talk about business and whatnot. So this part of the queue, which is indoors, would take you through a magical forest. And
oh, interesting.
Yeah, and from here you would enter the village, the main village of the tribe, which is inside the magical forests and such. So the wigwams kind of have a more magic color palette to them as opposed to the normal oak and spruce ones. And then this is the second pre-show where things get very interesting. So once you arrive in here, all the chieftains are sitting around this table. However, there's actually a trader in attendance, and this trader is the descendant of a very old sorceress, a very powerful sorceress named Winona, and her entire tribe was wiped out by the tribe in this meeting. And so, because that was 300 years ago, she's seeking vengeance. So when she's resurrected, she immediately begins causing havoc and chaos, which puts the meeting on hold. And from here, guests basically go through the village, and these were going to be burning wigwams and stuff because of the chaos and destruction. And they're escorted into the shaman's hut, where they would board magical benches that will take them out into the magical forest for an escape. And here you would basically just go through another part of the burning village, and then you would begin to fly through the magical forest, where you would encounter magical creatures and, you know, obviously some chaos in here too, as this scene is where you would enter the Wendigo's territory. The Wendigo is the monster from the wooden coaster.
Yes.
And this is my favorite scene on the whole ride. Most of the ride was built, and this is, yes, I really enjoyed working on this scene. So this is just really spooky, scary. You're underneath the root system of a gigantic tree. If you look up, that's why there's all the trunks and stuff about. Here the Wendigo was going to attack you from a ledge. Wendigo animatronic right here. And then from here, you would look up towards this hole where the Wendigo would be swiping at you from above. And then from here, you would come across a wagon of pioneers that would be traveling through this territory. And since they would see that you were being attacked by the Wendigo, they would rush in to help you. And you would never see if they end up winning or losing against the Wendigo, because you just rush on out of there into the rest of the magical forest.
Wow, that sounds pretty intense.
Yeah. So from here, you go into more of the magical forest, and on these webs up above, there would be giant mushroom spider demons, which we actually had the model for. I can show you the model if you want.
Yes, I want to see this secret ride too.
Okay, yeah, I can show you that too. So basically, one second.
Wow. Well, that's a pity that this ride is not opening. So much details in it here, and lots of fun, of action.
Alright, I'm back. So yeah, from this scene in the magical forest, you would re-enter the village, and there would be, of course, a bunch of Native Americans fighting against the sorceress here. You would fly through a burning wigwam.
Wow, okay.
And then, I know a lot of this wasn't, obviously ruined or finished, but just imagine that a lot of these wigwams had holes in them and fire coming out, just a lot of destruction. Here, basically, you would come face to face with the evil sorceress again, and she would grab onto your arm with her magic. Well, she would grab onto your bench with her magic, but you would escape. And here, there would be a grand showdown between her and you, but the Thunderbird, which was a mythical protector of the Native American people, gigantic bird that shoots thunder from its wings, the Thunderbird would swoop in and fight the evil shamaness and save you and the rest of the village. And from here, basically, the chieftains would obviously thank you for saving them. And then this was pretty much the grand finale of the ride. The Thunderbird grabbed you in its talons and took you up this hill, and it jumped off a cliff with you to fly over the valley.
Wow, this is a nice scene.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's actually some animatronics done for it too, if you want me to turn them on. Animatronics and particles. Just some tiny little birds, if you look like right here. Again, since you're supposed to be flying really high above the valley, everything
so sweet.
It's just tiny, yeah. And even there's some little rafts in like right here.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after this scene, spend as much time as you like flying around this scene if you like. There's only one more scene in the ride after this. So yeah, this is my favorite scene on the ride has to be the Wendigo scene, but this was definitely my second favorite on the ride.
Well, it's a
It's
good
just,
finish scene, I think.
yeah, yeah, it's just really awesome and just breathtaking.
It's like games. If the games have a good ending, then you like them very much, and if it
Yeah,
has a bad ending, then it's kind of yeah.
exactly. It provides a sense of, closure and foreclosure on that, feels natural. But um, yeah, these are just the command blocks for the animatronics and the particles. But yeah, I knew from the beginning that when we decided on doing a Kukan ride, I immediately suggested why don't we do a flight scene? Actually, multiple flight scenes, but we cut it down to one because doing two flight scenes would take up so much space. But yeah, so this final scene was supposed to be like a magical rainbow cavern.
Should
Um,
it be that big like here?
yeah, it just was really it was supposed to be like on this really grand scale, like the rest of the ride.
Wow.
Yeah, it was gonna be a rainbow cavern like the one on the canoe ride. Um, so yeah, this was just the exit, a little on-ride photo booth in here, and then yeah, that was the entire ride.
Nice.
Yeah, all in all, I think that this ride would have been one of, if not the best rides in Minecraft. I feel like it really had, it just was going to be really, really good, and we were really, really, yeah, it was just going to, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But yeah, it was going to be really, really good.
Yeah, indeed. So that was the nice cooker arm ride. So let's continue
Right?
to the
So,
secret boat ride,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So the secret boat ride was started like a few days before Gukiji One Valley opened. It wasn't really my idea because I was working on other stuff then. But some other staff members on the team weren't really working on anything, so decided to do it. Swim,
Yeah,
go into the
wait.
swim position. Yeah, swim through here. This is a really elaborate Easter egg, but yeah, you're gonna want to swim through there, and then yeah, this is the second grotto. There was just a little coupon here for cosmetic at the end of that hallway, and then you're gonna want to swim up there. I will go ahead and let me go ahead and get rid of the signs and stuff on at the end there.
Come on.
Swim on through. It's open. There you go.
This is the model?
Yeah, this is actually the same model from Enchanted Streams.
Well, it doesn't mind, I think.
Yeah, this ride is essentially a knockoff of Enchanted Streams. Let me go ahead and spawn it in for you.
Okay, I wait.
All right. Found it. All right. All right. Here's the boat. Yeah, so this ride was not complete because we moved on to, well, the people work on it moved on to other stuff. But a lot of it was done, including the mushroom spider demon animatronic, which is pretty cool, I gotta say.
Let's see.
Yeah, let me go ahead and turn on the animatronics in these scenes so you can, get a better feel for the ride and stuff.
I'm a bit excited.
Yeah, it's a very interesting little ride.
And it's a secret ride. That's
Yeah.
some interesting thing too.
I'm not going to be riding with you because I'm just turning on all the animatronics throughout the ride for
No
you.
problem. how long did it take to program one animatronic?
Well, most of the simple animatronics on the ride, like most of the animatronics in the park are basically simplistic. Like they have like a few movements, so most of them generally don't take any more than like 10 minutes to do each, or 5 to 10 minutes to do each. The modeled animatronics are really difficult, and they generally take a day or multiple days to animate rather. Like, for example, the enemy carriage on the Carriage's Ride in that finale, that was done over a day because of time constraints. But otherwise, I think that would have taken a few days had we not had to, book it to get it ready for the opening.
In just one day?
Yeah. All right, so you're going to come up on the giant mushroom spider demon. You're going to want to look on your right.
Oh, wow. And how long did this take to animate?
I think like 2 days for the spider demon. Most of the other animatronics were really simple, though. And then here's the drop. This is like the end of the ride, pretty much. And then this part's a little wonky, if you ask me. But yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's just a secret ride. It's just a nice bonus ride.
Yeah.
And for this, it is more than, for example, in Adventure Dragon Dance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Vogel Rock. That's a nice little ride on there.
Well, it seems that this ride is almost finished.
100 venture coins to ride. It's just free. But yeah, here we go. Just come through there. Yeah, and so right here was a little cosmetic gift shop where you could buy 2 cosmetics. Both of them were hats. You could you could get that, and then you could get the little sitting mushroom hat. The mushroom spider hat's really cool.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's the little mushroom hat. Try putting on the big spider hat and go in F5. It is really, really cool.
Well, I think I can only do this outside.
What do you think?
Let's try it here. Wow. That looks gorgeous. I'm a monster. I'm a monster.
Yeah, these cosmetics. Yeah. It's honestly one of my favorite cosmetics in the whole park, just because it's really, really cool. So what area would you like to see next out of the under construction part?
Then I think after a short break we will see Wupperton's museum ride, I think. Okay?
Yeah.
So now what you can see here is a different area. We are on a new version of Raider Harbor because, well, if you remember, Raider Harbor was one of the areas which has actually not an attraction, only a shooting ride, and so they planned to refurbish this area.
Yeah, as Uriel said, we weren't really happy with Raider Harbor because it was pretty old, and we felt that that part of the park could be used for better things. So we decided to do a new version of it, but this time more so emphasizing, the harbor and making it kind of colonial as well as industrial. We didn't have all the theming figured out yet because it was still in development, but we did have the plan for 3 rides. A refurbishment of the antique cars ride near Old Raider Harbor called Jacob's Jalopies. Another ride that we had planned was an indoor old mill boat ride that would have been very bizarre. And then the main ride of New Raider Harbor would have been this coaster. it would have been themed to firefighting, and this ride's story was that you were being enlisted as a volunteer firefighter to help put out a fire in Whaley Harbor, and there was a pre-show where you met with one of the head firefighters who explained this to you, and from here you boarded your ride vehicles and you climbed up the elevator lift. After here, you went into an outdoor coaster section that took you through the town, flying over the roofs of buildings, smashing through them, and then you went back indoors for a dark ride portion where you arrived at the street that the fire started in. And from here, you would go on a turntable and you would see that the fire had spread into the neighboring Forgotten Forest. You would take on a backwards coaster section here through Forgotten Forest, and then you would arrive at an abandoned shack. Once you stopped inside this shack, the shack would suddenly light on fire and explode. And then you would hit a seesaw track sliding down like Windjaws at Phantasialand. And then you would roll out of the shack into a launch, and you would go through this final coaster section here indoors through Forgotten Forest with a bunch of cliffs and trees and whatnot. And then you'd return back into Whaley Harbor, do a little helix around the monorail, and then the ride would end here back in the town for one final show scene.
Well, pretty nice.
Yeah, this was definitely going to be a really cool ride, and it would have been extremely unique, which is something that we really emphasized. Is from the get-go, I really did not want this ride to feel too similar to Crazy Joe's Cavern's Adventure, the motorbike coaster. Another attraction in Whaley Harbor in the new version was going to be a mansion walkthrough. It would have very much been a fun house with a pre-show and a bunch of wacky rooms with their own little gimmicks. Again, a lot of this area was not built because we were still planning it out, and we were working on some other projects as well. And then the funhouse would have just ended with a little slide here. So, yeah, this was one of the projects that we had in development around this time after Nikijuan Valley. It was one of the things that we were looking to open next after that land opened.
Right, pretty nice. Okay, then I think we go back to the old park. So now we are at the swamp area again, and left from the witch hunt we have a closed ride, unfinished version of Voodoo Palace it is called.
Yeah, so Voodoo Palace was supposed to be a trackless dark ride similar to Mystic Manor at Hong Kong Disneyland, and this ride had a lot of very psychedelic almost scenes. It was a really strange ride where you basically got transported to the voodoo realm, and a bunch of voodoo related hijinks ensued. Unfortunately, this ride was kind of abandoned because we moved on to other stuff, and I was the only one working on it, and the tech at the time was just very, very advanced and difficult. Remember, this was like a year ago, I believe, when I last worked on this ride. So we moved on from this ride to work on other projects. And another ride that is nearby that is also abandoned is Timekeeper. This is the giant museum ride. The facade is honestly one of my favorites in the entire park.
Yes, mine too. I was very excited for this ride.
Yeah, so Timekeeper is the theme of it is that you're going on a time traveling trip in this prototype Jeep technology being hosted by a museum curator. So you travel through all these different periods of time and whatnot, and come across dinosaurs, Arabian Nights, and whatnot. It would have been a really interesting ride. The reason that this ride was eventually abandoned is because we moved on to other projects. As you can see here, this was the queue. It was going to be a giant museum hall with a dinosaur skeleton right there. Yeah, definitely would have been a really interesting, cool ride. And judging by the quality of the queue, would have been really nice.
Well, I have just a small thing that, oh, now I can see it. You can see this garden section because in the video it was kind of disappearing. So now you can see it here.
Oh.
Okay, nice. So we are now at the old Whaler Harbor, and yeah, here were 2 rides planned I saw.
So the main ride that was planned for Old Whaler Harbor was going to be a shooting dark ride called Firefighter Festival. This ride would have entailed you being enlisted as a firefighter and going on, well, a mission putting out fires across the town, and the finale was where you would arrive at a celebration, hence Firefighter Festival.
Okay.
Not much of the ride was built. You can just see that a lot of it was planned out. The reason that this project did not happen was because we moved on to other things.
This is sad,
and
because I
we were not
think
able to do the shooting tech, because the shooting gallery is very small, and that was entirely done in vanilla, but that still took me 3 hours to do the tech for. So imagine that small amount of tech only taking well, that's not only, but still takes 3 hours. Now imagine how long it would take to put the tech for shooting on this ride. It would be very, very difficult. And while we're generally up for a challenge when it comes to building new areas and pushing our limits, this project was worked on a year ago, and at that time I was the only one that was working on this ride. So,
and the other ride was planned to be built here behind this bathroom.
Yeah, so the other ride was also a dark ride, although it was going to be more of an omni-mover. It was going to be themed to a museum of oddities. It would have had a bunch of artifacts from areas around the park and just, I don't know, just a bunch of weird stuff. It wasn't really well planned out because, again, none of it was built. We just had the idea.
Okay, nice. So now we are at the entrance of Bergstadt, because that was another future area which was planned for this park, and we already have a ride which is working here, and it's called Kokomos Alpine Adventure.
Yeah, it is a small-scale dark ride that took us like a week to build, pretty much. We actually built it in a week during when we were working on the new Camp Whopper Bagel. I don't know why we did this, but we just took a week off of that project and built this ride because we wanted to get Bergstadt open afterwards, but plans changed, clearly. So, but yeah, this is a very charming little dark ride. It's just a really nice ride. And I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. The model is not here yet, but yeah, that's not a problem for me. Interesting doors, I think. Oh,
yeah.
Never mind.
Also, just ignore the dirt. That's like the only unfinished thing.
Well, it's very funny in this beginning.
Yeah, really whimsical.
And now we are outside. Oh, a goat. Nice.
Yeah. There's plenty of mountain goats on this ride.
I like this waterfalls. Wow, nice ice cave.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique.
It's really,
in Minecraft.
really detailed. Yeah, it looks like some of the attachments are. Looks like some of the attachments are flipped around, so they might not be in their correct places, which is why you see icicles on the track and whatnot. Normally those wouldn't be there, but this ride has not been run in a little while, so
landed, no problem. I think I can get the idea of this ride, of course. Wow. Pretty unique Yeti. Wow, moving walls is pretty intense.
Yeah, the whole cavern's collapsing around you.
You said just 1 week?
Yeah, pretty much.
This ride definitely fits in the server.
Yeah, it's really... Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm really glad that you're getting to preserve it and everything else on video. I really appreciate it.
I like it very, very much. Thank you for showing me this.
Thank you. Yeah. So the rest of the area, not a ton of the rest of the area was built. The main other part of Birdstop that was built was the mountain for an Expedition Everest style mine train coaster.
Wait, come you back to the entrance that I can go inside you?
Oh yeah. I'll go ahead and teleport to you.
Okay, wait, okay.
Yeah.
I'm inside you, okay.
So you can see that this was the only other major part of Bergstadt that was built is the mountain for the Alpine mine train coaster. And this coaster was very, very similar to Everest. It would have been very, very similar, featuring a snow monster as the monster and, you know, a backward section, big lift hill up the mountain, and a bunch of the track and caves. But some aspects that would have made this different from Everest were the inclusion of a tilt track, as you can see right here, and then a launch, as you can see right here, that would have taken you uphill and then down the main drop of the ride right here. And the ride also would have had multiple snow monster encounters along the course, such as during the tilt track, during the launch, and multiple times during the end of the ride. It would have been really cool.
Was it the snow monster we saw in the dark ride?
No, it would have been a much bigger version of that.
Oh, okay.
So the other rides that were considered in this area were a Vekoma Madhouse, an indoor boat ride, a flat ride, and some other rides, I believe, as well as a carousel theater. But that was all in the planning stages, as you can see.
Okay, nice.